What is going on, guys? Smile here, back with another video, and today I thought I'd make a ice tank guide. I've covered two other powers, Rage and Atomic, and one of my favorite ones to use is Ice. And I've showed a lot of gameplay, so if you can check out my previous videos in the latest Raid Elite Plus. I have a lot of footage on that. But yeah, so I figured I'd drop an actual guide just because during my streams I've been getting a lot of questions. So it's just something to refer back to if you like ice. So out of the three powers, well, I take that back. I actually started out as fire tanking. But then fire is fun, but it's not good for like the hardest content, like Elite Plus. So eventually I switched over to Rage, used Rage a little bit. Then I went to Atomic, which is like my original tank power. I used that for a good amount. And then I went to Ice, and I've done now a lot of runs on Ice in the latest Raid Elite Plus. And out of the three that I've used in CPE Plus, I've used Ice, Atomic, and Rage. And if I was to rank, for me personally, it's kind of weird because a lot of people rank Rage as the better one to use, but for me, I actually like Ice, followed by Atomic, and then Rage. I've always struggled with Rage. Like, a lot of BS seems to always happen. Rage crashing or just weird, unlucky shit. That's where I get interrupted and I end up crashing. But Rage, I'm sure if I stick around with it and use it a lot, it's definitely really good power. But, I always, get impatient, so I switch. So I probably should have stuck with Rage, longer. But, yeah, so for me, Ice is my favorite for first boss, second boss, and last boss isn't too bad. It's pretty chill. Pretty much in the raid, the hardest encounter fight is first boss. So that truly tests your tanking ability, being just having your eyes peeled and rolling, countering. For Ice, it would be making sure you're rotating your shields, they're up, and things like that. Like a few nights ago, I got caught sleeping when I didn't roll, nor did I have a shield up, and Cersei did one of her big triangle hitters, the one that's lungeable, and she one-shotted me, because that can happen. But as Ice, you shouldn't allow it to happen, because there's multiple ways to counter it. Obviously, you can counter, you can have a shield up and just eat the damage, and then you can also roll and miss the damage. That's why on first boss you want to be rolling a lot, and things like that. But anyways, let's not get distracted here. Let's get into the Ice tank guide. So it's been a while since I made a tank guide, so bear with me here on how I format it, go about this. But let's start off with the gear and the tactical mods, things like that. So for any tank power absorption adapter, since for the head socket, what we're going to benefit the most is going to be supercharged dash attack, which is a shield. Neck, fortified assault, that's on every tank power. back, I like to take accelerated winter ward. There's a couple options here. You can do accelerated shatter restraints, which is good too because it's one that we're gonna use a lot too. But I like winter ward just to get like a little extra shorter cooldown because it is personally it helps me personally for survivability. Because that is one of the stronger shields. Shadow Restraints is good, but it's a weak shield, and it's mainly for the group. All right, so chest, hardy, legs doesn't matter, and then in our utility for any tank setup, I like to have it where it's easy to get to my chrono, so it's just R2X, and I just I double tap X. So it's easy. I don't have to like hit X, then hit square, triangle, or circle. I want my chrono. I want my chrono right there because for ice, it's important to use when you're CCing ads. So you want to have it in a good spot to easily hit because you're going to be rotating with resonating Gale, and then use your chrono. And then as they get knocked down, they get back up. Resonating Gale, they come back up. The ads, chrono, and so for ice, it's good to have that right there. Now, if I was atomic, I would probably if I was atomic, I would just flip flop it. I would have my breakout trinket where the chrono is, and the chrono where the breakout trinket is, because as atomic, I'll never really be using chronos too often. Alright, so let's jump over. Feet, Tumbling Master, hand socket, you could just put in regenerative shielding. So for affinity mod bonuses, for ice, it's all about dominance. That's the main stat that you start with, you prioritize. Dominance has the biggest impact on ice, followed by resto, and then after that, health or whatever. But the main thing is dominance, then resto. So once you get enough elite pieces, you can grab the dominance in slot A and B. In type C, best thing to do is just to get the group breakout, the rejuvenating escape mod, because we always have group breakout in our loadout. And basically, it allows you to heal a decent amount. And for ice, that's good because there's not really any source of healing other than if you're using Mystic and then this mod right here. So let's jump over to the artifacts. We got Manacles, Lazarus. These two you should always be using. Now the third artifact is where it can change. And it's either going to be Mystic Symbol of the 7 or Scrap. So when it's Mystic Symbol of the 7, that means that I'm not using dash attack. So basically, in my loadout, I don't have a supercharge, which is dash attack. And I'll show you when I go to the powers. When I get to the actual power. Actually, we'll just go right now. So we're going to skip over. I'll cover the allies after. Actually, I'll just do the allies. So allies for Superman, or for Ice, it's always going to be Superman, because we're always using our group breakout. And when we use that, we get a 35% reduction shield. Cooldown 30 seconds. So that's the number one ally for Ice that you want to make sure you get. Second ally, I like to do Lex Luthor, just because it's a huge increase if your health ever does drop below 50, and it happens from time to time. So it's good if it does happen. You're like, oh shit, my health dropped. Pop that shield, and you're gonna have a really strong shield. Another one you could use instead of Lex Luthor would be Batman, and you just get a very small defense buff, 4.9, which is not bad. So that is a way you could go. You could do Batman over Lex Luthor. Before I get to the actual power and traits, let's just knock out the augments. Of course, like I said, dominating is the main focus. So dominating. And then in our generator mods and our base, it's going to be dominating and then health. Okay, so that's all covered. Let's jump over to the traits. Weapon, I use one-handed, so that's all I have, and that's it. What one-handed is my default weapon on this character, so I don't have to use a skill point, like it's already pre-selected. So after that, jump over to super speed. Super speed, we're going to pick up, obviously the movement, then we're going to jump over, get dash attack, and then you're going to get all these resistance, recoveries, and breakout mastery. This helps with power and restraint resistance, stuff like that. And then dash attack and phase dodge. These are basically shields. Phase dodge is a short duration shield, but it can withstand a lot of damage. Dash attack is a supercharged type shield, which is when we use dash attack, we use Scrap of Soul Cloak. And dash attack also knocks down enemies. It stuns them. Not too many people realize that, but yeah, it stuns. It knocks down adds. Dash attack is surprisingly, it is actually a really strong shield. It is up there like with Winter Ward, which is another strong shield for ice. Iconic powers, Amazon Deflection. I rarely ever use it, but I have it just in case. And Hard Light Shield. Okay, so stat points. You're gonna want to have like 2 armories at least. One for hybrid spec. This is when I have a troll. So like in raids, I'm gonna do hybrid. And then if I don't have a troll for like alerts, I do super powered. And with both of them, I do 10 and 10. After that, head to dominance, max out dominance, and put the rest into resto. There's really no other way. This is the most, every way every ice should be doing. There's really no reason to do health. It won't benefit that much really. So yeah, that's the way to spec your skill points. All right, let's just briefly go over ice. You gain the following benefits while in tank role: 65% defense while not blocking, plus 3 perception. Superpowers gain taunt when you use your superpower. Your opponents attack you instead of others. Okay, so that's the tank role for ice. It's pretty much that's how it is for almost every powers. Ice doesn't really have anything unique. I think every tank power gets a little defense thing. One thing that it does have unique though is the ice armor. So right when you pop any shield of ice, you're gonna get ice armor. And ice armor is just like an extra defense buff. Watch, you'll see when you're not using a shield, it's gonna go away. So watch. It lingers around for a while. Okay, so look, it started to go away, and then there it is, it's gone. But if I was to pop another shield, it's going to be their ice armor right there. So that's something to know. Alright, so let's jump over to the powers. Inescapable Storm, that is our main pull. It's our AoE pull, group pull. So you're gonna be having you're gonna always be having this power when you're just pulling AoE for hallways, multiple bosses, whatever. Okay, Resonating Gale. This is one of our CC abilities. So we're gonna rotate Resonating Gale with Chronos. So let's say you're in a hallway and you're in a raid and there's ads coming up. They're kind of like just chilling there. You're gonna roll up, pop Resonating Gale. Right as they get back up, Chrono. They fall down, come back up, Resonating Gale. It says resist because the sparring targets resist like fast. They don't. They're not like regular ads in the hallway, like raids, alerts, all that stuff. So that's the rotation. You have to really make sure. Wait till they get up, then pop it. You don't want to do it too. You don't want to do it too early because then you're going to run short and you're going to be waiting for one of your cooldowns to finish. So make sure they stand up. Don't hit it too early. So then I run Reflection. It's a weak shield, but it does takes a little hits. Shatter Restraints. This is our group breakout / shield. Winter Ward. This is our second strongest shield. And Hard Light Shield. So this is the general loadout where you can handle if you're doing tanking hallways, ads in the hallways. If you're doing a boss fight where there's like a lot of ads too, so you got a boss and a bunch of ads where you need a CC. So for example, CTE plus final boss. If you watch my gameplay, I have Resonating Gale. So yeah, that's the general setup. So basically, you're just gonna rotate shields as ice. It's kind of the idea. Boom, stun. Just kind of rotate. Once they go out. Something to know is that all of Ice's shields they override each other. So for example, if I have Shatter Restraints, or if I have Winter Ward up, and then all of a sudden I immediately pop Reflection, it's going to cancel Winter Ward. So just keep in mind that. Make sure you don't hit the multiple, your shields. The only one that stacks is Hard Light Shield. Hard Light Shield, it can stack with anything. Alright, so that's pretty much the idea for this setup. Now if you ever were to single taunt just one boss, you would just use Frost Knight. Single target taunt. Okay, so let me show you now when I talked about Mystic Symbol of the Seven and Scrap of Soul Cloak. Okay, so basically, here's a boss loadout that you would use if there's no ads to CC. So for example, first boss in CTE plus, you can't CC the ads. Which means like crowd control. You can't do this like what you just seen right there. So because of that, there's no reason to run Resonating Gale, right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna run the shield that best helps us in that fight. So as long as we're not grounded the whole fight. So if we're not grounded the whole fight, we're gonna use dash attack because that's the best setup. And that's where I put it, is right there. So anytime I use dash, put on Scrap of Soul Cloak. So this setup right here is what I use for CTE plus first boss. Okay, so let me show you another setup too. So here is another setup. This is when the boss. So let's say you're in a boss fight and there's nothing to like CC, right? But you also get grounded the whole fight. So kind of like CTE plus second boss. So we're not going to use dash attack because we're grounded. So this is when you either have the choice to use phase dodge, because it has a short duration, but it can hold for a lot of damage, or you can use Amazon deflection. Either one. 30-second cooldown, 16.5. That is pretty much, yeah, that's the only two other powers you would use. There's literally nothing else. I mean, obviously you got Ice Elemental, but yeah. So for second boss, for CTE plus second boss, I like to use phase dodge, just because it has a shorter cooldown. I feel like I'm getting more use out of it, and it works well with how the boss fights. But you could also throw in Amazon deflection. Alright, so for CTE plus the last boss, I recently made a switch. So in my last video on last boss, I was running Mystic in there, and I was running no dash. But I actually like to I put in scrap now, and I like to run dash for last boss, because in last boss I find myself sometimes wanting to move like far away fast, or just kind of get, be more mobile, and also dash attack knocks down the ads, so it can also help for crowd control too. On top of that, so for last boss, my setup is this right here. So I actually drop reflection, and it's in last boss. You got to pull multiple, or you got a CC, right? So resonating Gale, right? So I got that, and then I use dash attack as a shield / knockdown and mobility. Of course, shatter restraints, winter ward, and hardlight shield. So that's kind of all my different setups I use. That's pretty much everything what you would use. There's no other combination. The only other combination would be like if you need to use single target or some shit. But that's it. Armories. I just got, like I said, the hybrid spec and the super powered. And I believe that covers everything for ice tanking. And I got a lot of videos for gameplay, so you guys are good on that. Yeah, that should be everything. Allies we touched on, weapon, super speed spec, iconic power, stats, generator mods, tactical mods, affinity mod bonuses, and just a general idea of how to kind of use the power, rotating shields and things like that. But yeah, like I said, ice is really strong. It's really strong is when you maxed out your CR and you have higher stats. But typically, like when you need higher stats, like CTE plus, it comes out delayed. Like it comes out late when the DLC drops, so you have time to get your CR up. But yeah, when your CR is low and your stats and everything, ice is a lot harder because your shields just seem to get melted through. So that's when powers like rage stand out, when you're lower CR and things like that. But when you're rage and you get your CR up, and your stats, I feel like it has less of an impact getting your CR up, versus ice, getting your CR up has a big impact on the strength of your shields. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much it for the video. If you have any more questions, just hit me up in the comments, and check out my other videos on gameplay. Alright guys, I'll see you in the next video. Alright, peace.